Poor Chopper just can't catch a break. First Gadatsu and now Ohm. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Poor little fella.
One Piece Chapter 266, Pirate Chopper versus Priest Ohm.
It is cold, I tell you. I just have to rant about that for a few seconds. I'm here right outside of Chicago, and today, with the polar vortex, which is basically just layman's terms for, it's fucking cold. It's like negative 47 or something like that, so I'm certainly feeling the effects of it. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome, the awe-inspiring, the sexy tale of One Piece. Our last chapter, of course, saw us with a number of different things happening and kind of dividing amongst a few different stories, but really the bulk of it being Robin kind of coming into her own and just busting that fat sumbitch Yama and just completely throwing him what appears to be off of or out of Upper Yard, or at least very, very far away. And I thought it was great. So that's how the chapter left off. That's where this one picks up, too. It's really kind of cool because we see Robin, and then she goes, and it appears that she's at the area of the ruins where Chopper was just a couple of chapters ago after his fight with Gadatsu. And she sees the mouth entrance to that, the mouth, I guess it looks like a mouth, to a cave. And she's like looking at the, and she's like, geez, this is weird. It goes through the cave and then comes out the other side, and she's like, this is supposed to be, Shandora, the city center, but it's not here. I mean, could it have been blown to bits when it went up into the sky? And she's like sitting around, and it's cool because as you see the pulled out picture of her walking, there's that giant beanstalk is behind it, right? And we know that Enel's realm is up there somewhere, like a Jack and the Beanstalk situation. So as she goes through the tunnel, and then she's sitting there, she sees the beanstalk, and she's just like, oh my God, no, could it be? And then that ends her little part of it, So it's kind of neat. We get split into a bunch of different parts over here, which I thought was really neat. So then we go and we see Chopper, and Chopper's actually climbing the beanstalk, right? He's just like, man, he is balls to the wall, wanting to get that gold. He's a big boy. Got his big boy pants on now since defeating Gadatsu. He gets to the top, and he's like, oh, geez, and he's like, oh, it's all kind of slanted up here, and you can see that there's ruins of a city, so it looks as if this beanstalk that sprouted up actually propelled some of the city upward, right? And it's just like Jack and the Beanstalk, where it looks like it's in clouds and everything like that. Of course, they are in Skypiea, but anyway. So he goes and then all of a sudden turns around and he's like, what the? And he hears Holly, Holly heel or Holly stop, And it's Ohm's giant dog, his big Clifford-like dog. That's what we'll call him Clifford, the big red dog, the big manga dog. But anyway, so Holly is over there and just like right up on Chopper. Chopper's like, holy shit, So Ohm goes and introduces himself, and then talks about how Gadatsu was an idiot and, and he was silly and careless and blah, blah, blah. And of course, there's one of the Shandorian warriors that's there that he beat and is, just laying there just bloodied and, beaten. And Chopper's like, what the hell? And he goes into this big, Ohm goes into this big thing about how, what is it with, about humans where, they're given this freedom and all this choice and all these things they can do, and they choose to fight each other. That's kind of the bottom line of what he's getting at, is that they choose to just fight. And Chopper's like, I don't know what the hell this guy's talking about. And he's like, but I figured out, because he actually sits there and he's just like, I'm mourning I'm having pity on and mourning, like humans and their weakness, for wanting to, their penchant for wanting to fight each other, right? So then he goes and he's like, why are you here? And Chopper's like, I'm here to get the gold. And he's like, it'll cause a fight. And Chopper's just like, oh, God. So definitely not good, as far as that situation goes. And then we kind of leave that situation hanging. And then we go and we see Zoro. And I thought it was kind of funny because I wanted to mention this in the last chapter, but where the last chapter we saw Zoro, the last one or the one before. Zoro is, he's just challenged as far as direction-wise, right? And then this south bird, and he needs to go south, and I meant to mention in the last chapter, this thing is following him around and trying to tell him to go the right way, and he thinks the thing's just bothering him for food, And I had put 2 and 2 together, but just forgot to mention it in the last review. Anyway, this bird's still following around, and he's just like, leave me alone, damn it, know, because he's like, I think I know where I'm at, and he sees something. He's like, maybe this is familiar, but maybe this is something else, and he just doesn't know where he's going. You know, a great soldier, you know, awesome fighter, but God forbid you have to tell him to get from point A to point B without getting lost, because he's got to have somebody to follow or to guide him. You know, but really comical because then at the end the bird goes and just picks him up, you know, picks up the backpack, you know, and he's holding onto the backpack, and the bird's just gonna fly him to where he's got to go. You know. Then we go back to Luffy. And Luffy, of course, was in that underground area, that tunnel or whatever, that part of ruins. And he's been walking along. And on his hat, he's got a crown. Like a crown just sort of landed on his hat, I guess, from when he fell. Or maybe he found it. I don't know. He's walking around. He gets to this end of this long tunnel. It looks like it's just, you know, the end, a dead end. And he's like, well, maybe there's like a hidden door there or something. Or a trick door, he says, right? So he's just like, gum, bazooka. Boom. When he nails this wall. And nothing happens. And he's just, boom, you know, nothing happens at all. And he's like, what the hell, you know? So then all of a sudden you hear like rumble, rumble, you know? And the next thing you know, you just see like Luffy just flying backwards with like debris and everything like that. So I have no idea what's going on. If there's some kind of beast he disturbed, some kind of living thing. I don't know what the deal is, but it was still rather comical the way the whole thing was portrayed and the way we saw it. There's also a quick scene as well where Raki, and it's a Raki, it's hard to remember all these names of the different Shandorians as well, because many of them are similar too. But Raki has come upon Kamakiri, who, of course, we thought was pretty much annihilated by Enel. And at the very least, his will has been broken. And he's kind of telling her, like, just get out of there, you know, get Wyper, get the hell out of here. He's heading for the temple. There's nobody can beat Enel, right? So she goes and she says, listen, I need you to hold Aisa's backpack. I will go and find him, you know, find Wyper and whatnot. And then she's talking to herself, and she's like, you know what? Enel just broke his spirit. He is very strong, and she says, and then she goes on to explain, you know, kind of in her little inner monologue, that he has eaten the rumble devil fruit, and that is the strongest of the Logia, you know, devil fruit types, and so that's obviously where some of his power comes from. But you know, certainly in her mind anyway, he's not unbeatable, right? And Kamakiri was just like, game over, man, game over, you know. And of course, anybody who's ever seen any of the Aliens movies knows know that's Bill Paxton from that. But nonetheless, though, it is kind of just a moment to show certainly that she's, in her mind, it's like, hey, listen, he's not unbeatable. Okay, anybody can be defeated. I just have to find the means the right way. And this Kamakiri is just basically like laying there at death's doorstep, like he is lightning, you know. So very cool, but at the same time, you know, like I said, I mean, you can weigh in on either way on that one. So then it goes back to, and the chapter wraps up with back at the fight up at the top with poor Chopper and Ohm. And I say poor Chopper because the fella's been through some shit, man. I mean, he was desperately, he's, you know, tearing off the mast and because it was on fire, because Shuro was lighting a boat on fire, and he's trying to save the Going Merry, you know. He winds up having this fight with Gadatsu or whatever, which he came on top. Then he's like, oh, I got some confidence. I'm a big guy. I'm going to go climb the beanstalk. And he gets up there, and there's this giant Clifford dog and Ohm, you know. Maybe it's Clifford's sister, Holly. But anyway, so Ohm has got this cool looking staff looking thing with a ball on the end of it. It's actually pretty neat, you know, and he says, and it's like kind of like a sword, I guess you'd say, but it's got like this little ball on the end. Very, very cool looking stuff. Anyway, he winds up telling, you know, Chopper about what Chopper's trying to get away from him is what's happening. He's tried to run and hide, and he's like, and Chopper's thinking to himself, okay, it looks like he's a swordsman. Maybe if I just keep some distance from him, I can get back to, you know, Luffy and the crew and kind of get some backup, right? That's what he's looking for. And then he's like, okay, I think I lost him and this and that. And then the next thing you know, man, I don't know if it was from the mantra power that he's got or what, but Ohm goes and just like nails him through this wall. So it looks like maybe he was on the other side of the wall and he just knew Chopper was there or what. The way the picture is depicted is not good. I mean, Chopper just fucking, I mean, just gets jacked up, right? And then he goes on to tell him about, you know, he should have told him that this is the challenge of iron and the survival rate here is 0%. It's a big goose egg. You come here, that's it, you know. And he had mentioned earlier, too, when Chopper got up there, he's like, what is it with you? So you're like the third one today. So that's made it this far. So apparently, I don't know if that's like his post and his position when these type of things go on, and Enel's just like, hey, dude, keep everybody from getting into the actual temple, or what? Or if he just posts himself up there because he figures that's where people will be coming, so hey, you get the most action. But either way, definitely very cool, and we kind of see you know, some of his power and whatnot. And out of all of my, out of the 4 priests anyway, I think I like his character and his character design the most. You know, that's just my personal opinion. So the chapter ends off there, though, and my chapter question for you, brothers and sisters, is what are your thoughts on Ohm, his dog Holly, and of course his powers, from what we've seen anyway thus far? And then also, too, the other thing that I wanted to know is what are your thoughts on when Oda goes and splits up and you go 4, 5, 6 different directions in a chapter? You get a little taste of everything. But honestly, if you put your fingers in too many pies, you know what I mean? It's like you don't really. I mean, what's that saying? You know, they good at many things but great at nothing, or something like that. I like it better personally when he breaks it up into a chapter where it just focuses on 1 or 2 things that are going on. When it splits up into 4 or 5 or 6, it's not just hard to talk about when you're doing a review for it and kind of a recap. It's harder to wrap your mind around because then you're like, wait, what chapter was it? Okay, hold on. Oh yeah, that's right, last time, you know, and you're trying to put it all together. So also feel free to answer that question, what your thoughts are on, you know, obviously dividing the chapter up into 4 or 5, sometimes even 6 different, you know, little strands and parts of different crew members going different ways. And you're like, what? You know, for me, it's a little hard to follow, getting 2 to 4 pages on each person and then going to somebody else and having to reset your mind and go, okay, what were they doing last, you know? But again, just my opinion. So leave your answer to the questions that I give you in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We look forward to catching all of you in the next Fun Nation.
Do you like cute, cuddly, furry little animals, sitting naked in the dark, or Santa Claus? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you should go over and check out my Facebook or Instagram pages to see more drawings like these.